again, British Championship drivers, Junior Series graduates from the Karting Championship, and then, and I say this with the greatest respect, some sort of amateur club level drivers trying out a national series.
And they're doing very well.
Yes, so a great mix.
As they are released from the collecting area, then let's have a look at the grid. It's going to be a tough one at the front because we've got Morgan Hudson-Brown on the pole position. Joey Brown, who's had a great weekend, hasn't he? Yep. He's just been beaten by 2 points to that pole position by Morgan. But Joey Brown starts on that front row, and arguably, has he got an advantage on the outside going into turn one? We can debate that one till the cows come home. The distinctive white front nose, first time of the weekend. The white nose of Liam Phillips, Kart 31, shares row 2 with Elliot Dalton-Ayres. Carl Dunford shares row 3 with Brandon Truman. We've got row 4 in the form of Jason Duchess and Ian. Yayan. I will get that in my head. Yayan Hughes. Alex Timmons and Johnny Lynch are on row 5. Row 6 is Daniel Callahan and Lucas Blanford. With Taylor Dixon, Archie Hogan sharing row 7. Row 8 is Bradley Caton and Ryan Sayers. And then we've got Michael Ambler and New Safa Leathers rounding off what is an 18-kart start to the senior Rotax class in the Kart Championship.
Now, see, in Wales, you tend to, traditionally, in the small Welsh coal mining towns, you have a milkman. If the milkman's name was David or Guy, you call him Guy the Milk. And the local butcher, his name was John, and he tried the meat. So it's going to be Yayan the Cart. That'll happen. Yayan the Cart.
Yayan the Cart. Yes. Yayan, I'm going to write that down.
So,
Right, we're going to form the grid up then, coming into the horseshoe, where Morgan Hudson-Brown's job will be to slow the pace, everybody weaving to get some heat into those slick tyres, which is vital. They're still not going to be into their operating temperature till at least lap 3, so the drivers will not have the kart they really want underneath them until about lap 3, so it's a bit of a struggle for grip. Here we go then, Morgan Hudson-Brown crosses the line, and we've got a kart sideways. And we're able and over the top, and we've got more karts going off as we continue, and it's a false start.
Right.
It's a false start there. That was decided after all of this.
Joey Brown, I've got to say, Joey,
you moved across too early.
And he's dipped into the luck bank once there with the false start.
Elliot Dalton-Ayres is absolutely...
Morgan Hudson-Brown is thinking, well, and of course, Joey Brown will say, Morgan Hudson-Brown, turn me round, and Elliot will be saying, well, he just came across and then turned himself round.
No, Elliot Dalton-Ayres there with the blue overalls there. He went round the outside of everybody and was leading by about 10 karts lengths by the time they got to the dogleg.
So
he's formed up on the front row of the grid because we've got
Joey Brown.
Where's Joey Brown? He can't really make his way up, can he?
This is going to give Dan Ashton a headache. Mr. Ashton, rather.
They're off. We're under green, and Elliot Dalton-Ayres leads into turn 1, catches the slide beautifully. He's going to lose out though around the outside of Brian's Bend, does he? Yes, he does. He's in third with Truman into second, but the leader is Morgan Hudson-Brown as they head down towards St John's. It's Morgan Hudson-Brown, and then we've got Brandon Truman. Then we've got the number 74 of Joey Brown.
Yep. So Brown,
and then we've got the number 14 of Elliot Dalton-Ayres.
Now Brown had just started on the third row. I wasn't sure if you don't make it back to your allotted grid slot, you have to start from the back, or you just slot in where you made it to, which seems to be a little bit untidy. I don't know what the regulation is.
I'm not sure. But let's crack on with the race. Yeah. We'll leave that to Mr. Ashton.
Leave that to Mr. Ashton and the stewards.
And his boys club. Here we go. Morgan Hudson-Brown leads into turn 1 through Brian's Bend. Brandon Truman, he's here with his Dan Holland Racing outfit, the Randall Norris kart, but he's been looked after by Reese Hunter in the Hunter Motorsport awning. And he's currently chasing down Ultimate R's Morgan Hudson-Brown, who's had pace all day long. Joey Brown's in third, and we know how quick Joey Brown has been all day, and they're in fourth place there, the yellow helmet of Elliot Dalton-Ayres doing a great job there, hanging on to this quality field.
And I mean, not that I personally, I don't think that Morgan Hudson Brown did anything wrong in that first start. However, I would still want to keep that one go-kart between myself and Joey Brown at all possible. Well, because Joey Brown will have a different view of that incident, and the red mist will have descended fully, and he will be going all guns blazing to get back to the front.
Well, that just adds a bit of soap opera, doesn't it? You know, if we can get the 74 on terms with Brandon Trueman, we've only had a couple of minutes of racing, and things beginning to look relatively settled. I know that it's not settled out there when you're in the car, absolutely throwing these carts into the corners to try and keep people behind. I tell you what, who looks like he's got pace is that second place kart, Brandon Trueman.
Yep. He
looks, if anything, like he's been held up slightly by Morgan Hudson Brown. Certainly, it's certain part of this Warden Law track, and whether Brandon can get by remains to be seen, because Morgan Hudson Brown is very, very quick on the straights here.
And another driver who has traditionally got quicker and quicker as the races have progressed has been the driver in that Kiddix UK kart, Lucas Blanford, kart number 67, as Trueman goes for the lead into centre one, makes the pass. Brown now looks to the inside. No, discretion, patience, well, Joey, patience.
He had it coming together on the first start, but that was, I sniffed that one out. I could tell by Brandon Trueman's pace that it was only a matter of time before Morgan Hudson Brown was going to fall foul of it, and now Trueman, he's gotten ahead of him. Whether or not it's the tyres coming in, but we're on lap 3, the tyres should be there by now, and at the moment the Lando Norris kart of Brandon Trueman is the fastest kart, and he's gotten into the lead. Hudson Brown's coming back at him though, which tells me that the tyres just weren't quite there for those 3 early laps, and now maybe the kart will come back to him and he maybe challenge back for the lead.
Yeah, and see how pronounced that bump is as they go down out of St John's towards Senna 1, the 84. Elliot Dalton Ayres sits in 4th place. Here comes Lucas Blanford to the inside of Kyle Dunford for P5. Blanford not out of this yet either.
No,
Brandon
he's not.
Trueman, first year senior driver. This would be a great way to pick up a first main win. As I said, top 10 last weekend at the Old Plate, great graduation, and a sign of, because sometimes when juniors move into seniors, it takes a little while for the more experienced senior drivers to iron the last bit of junior out of the graduates, so to speak. And it doesn't, Brandon Trueman has arrived, with a mindset and a maturity that is, pleasing to see. The original Uncle Tyrone of the Kart Championship, that's also he was known as well. He had a supporter that would always call himself Uncle Tyrone on the live chat, supporting Brandon Trueman. Of course, Tyrone out of Snatch, the film that lent itself to all sorts of pop culture references on commentary. But Uncle Tyrone now leading the Hudson Brown.
Yeah, and there's a challenge for third as Elliot Dalton Ayres tries round the inside at the dogleg, tries round the outside. Both of those carts go off, and that's Joey Brown and Elliot Dalton Ayres that's lost out. Let's have a look and see what happened there. There he is. It all happened at the dogleg, but there he is going down the outside, and both carts on the grass. That's allowed Lucas Blanford and Kyle Dunford into 3rd and 4th. That's the battle for the lead. That's the 3rd, 4th place battle now. And the problem is we've lost Elliot Dalton Ayres and Joey Brown now out of contention for a top 3 slot. That's become the property of that man there, Lucas Blanford.
And it now gives these 2 drivers a clear run to the flag. It's going to be another head-to-head battle, 1v1.
I think you're right, Henry. I don't think this is over at all. I think Morgan Hudson Brown is playing a bit of a management game here. He's just managing that gap. It's been the same for about what we were talking about this. It's been the same for about 3 laps now.
Yep.
And it's not gaining, he's not losing, and whether or not he can find something to get him on terms with the rear bumper of Brandon Trueman and then maybe put himself in a position remains to be seen, because the same could be said of Brandon Trueman, who's just, keeping the laps going. I mean, I say that 49.7, fastest lap of the race from Trueman, the leader. Let's see who gets the fastest lap this time. Lucas Blanford in third. So he's chasing down those leaders in that white cart in that third spot and wanting to get on terms with that second spot.
Yeah, Dunford in fourth. Joey Brown in race penalty.
5 seconds.
5 seconds. I didn't want to say anything, but it looked as though Dalton Ayres kind of got alongside and maybe ruffled a couple of feathers, and Joey Brown, well, he said, look, you're not making, neither of us are going to make that corner, and they both ran wide. So Brown, a day that started up the road, is going to end in the pack.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That would put Ian Hughes, Ian the Kart, up into sixth position. Liam Phillips up to seventh. Bradley Keaton up to eighth. Jason Dukis up to ninth. And it would put Archie Hogan into the top 10.
Yeah, that's a shame for Joey Brown. He's had a great day's racing, hasn't he? And it all has come to nothing in the final. That can't be said for Brandon Trueman, who, with 2 minutes to go, this is, if I'm right about Morgan Hudson Brown, if my speculation is correct, we'll now see Morgan Hudson Brown just narrow that gap to that Lando Norris kart in front of him.
Yep.
And we're not seeing that now. The gap was 0.46 of a second. We're going to measure it here as we come out the paddock turn, head down towards the start-finish line. We've got 10 laps in the bag, and the gap is 0.43, so it hasn't changed, has it?
No, but what is changing is the gap between Hudson Brown and Lucas Blanford. That gap is shrinking. The gap between Blanford and Kyle Dunford in fourth place is growing. Let's not forget that when Joey Brown and Elliot Dalton Ayres ran wide, Blanford and Dunford were nose to tail, where they were neck and neck. That insert removed two drivers from directly in front of Lucas Blanford. He has just kicked on, and you know what? Hudson Brown, that second place isn't as secure as we once thought it was.
And Brandon Trueman's extended the gap.
Yep.
Because as much as I was expecting Morgan Hudson Brown to respond, Brandon Trueman has, and the gap's gone out to just under 8 tenths. So into the final minute, I think we are probably 49 seconds. We're going to be right on the cusp of whether we do 1 or 2 laps, Henry.
Gaynor Heath, our chief timekeeper, this is going to be the worst possible sort of when, well, I mean, it automatically goes from 0 to last lap. The question is, will it go last lap that the drivers can see it? Or will they get across the line with less than a second to spare?
Yeah, I think it's going to be last lap board this time by. We've only got 10 seconds on the board. We've got to get right around the horseshoe, around Paddock Bend, and then across the line. 3, 2, 1, 0 time. Last lap board for the leaders. Brandon Trueman off into the lead. It's going to kind of be a bit of a strange victory for the Hunter Motorsport team, who are looking after Brandon Trueman this weekend. They've got a Dan Holland. I mean,
Dan Holland graphics kit.
Reese Hunter is very familiar with running a Dan Holland graphics kit. Yeah, of course, he won championships with them. But here's the battle for second. You called it, Henry. It's not over yet, is it, mate?
No, it's not. Through the chicane for the last time. Blanford catches Hudson Brown. He'll have one move. He'll swing high and try and cut underneath coming out of Gasworks. It's not there. He looks to the inside. Lucas Blanford absolutely snookers Morgan Hudson Brown, and Brandon Trueman takes the victory. Blanford caught him, and Look, I'm calling the police. I'm calling the police because he stole. That was audacious. He absolutely pinched that second place at the horseshoe. And you know what? When Morgan Hudson Brown crossed the line, you can tell when a driver knows they've been kippered, because if Brown would have been gesticulating wildly, saying, "No, look at him, he's smart." He just shook his head, knowing
he knew.
I just had my pocket.
Well, if you look at the textbook on how to drive Warden Law, and it says horseshoe, you cannot pass there. It's got like, say, Ian McKellen there with a big staff. You shall not pass. But he ripped the textbook up. We need a new textbook. Because he's proved that's not the case. If you can get momentum out of the hairpin and get yourself on the inside of those 3 apexes coming through to paddock turn, you can make that happen. Wow, you know what it is? We are into the last race.